this is my project on childhood nutrition and obesity. So an introduction to this topic, obesity in children is frequently brought on by high calorie consumption, sedentary behavior, environmental factors, and hereditary. Both concerns have detrimental effects on one's health, such as long-term health hazards, psychological troubles, and chronic diseases. And I'm going to go more into some factors that affect this issue in next slides. So responsibility. Parental responsibilities. Parents are primarily in charge of ensuring that their kids eat a balanced diet. This entails meal planning, grocery shopping, and preparing nutritious meals that are balanced. Parents also serve as role models by maintaining healthy eating practices. It's crucial to establish a household environment that encourages wholesome eating. This entails making wholesome foods accessible and reducing the availability of sweet, calorie-dense snacks and drinks. Schools have a responsibility to the community by providing wholesome meals and encouraging nutrition education. By offering access to affordable, fresh meals and secure locations for physical activities, communities may encourage healthy eating. Individual responsibility. As kids get older, they should learn to be in charge of their own dietary restrictions. This entails being informed, exercising in moderation, and comprehending the nutritional value of foods. In conclusion, collective action from parents, guardians, educators, and communities is required to take responsibility for children's nutrition and obesity. To avoid childhood obesity and advance general well-being, healthy eating habits must be supported by education, awareness, and development of environments. Parental responsibility. So we shouldn't talk about parental responsibility in a binary way. It is not true that either people's social environments or themselves are to blame for their health conditions. Rather, a both-and strategy of social and personal accountability is required. This calls for a clear change away from finger-pointing and toward creating environments that can realize people's fundamental capacities. So I read this scholarly article that helped me look at it in a different way, and I thought it'd be great to share. Now, marketing and advertising is definitely a huge factor. Children's dietary preferences and choices are directly influenced by marketing and advertising. Children may be influenced to consume these goods by commercials that advertise unhealthy, high-calorie and sugar foods. I chose this picture because buy one get one free Big Mac. I feel like using the buy one get one free advertisement just like entails people eating more, and especially children, especially in lower income families, like you're gonna go for that because you're gonna get more for the money you have. And so I think that's an example of like advertising and how they use it like in a way that is gonna make you go towards more obesity and an unhealthy diet. And children are frequently the target of commercials that are intended exclusively for them, and as a result it can be challenging for them to resist the appeal of unhealthy foods and snacks. Young children who are exposed to branding and advertising may develop brand loyalty that lasts into adulthood and affects long-term eating patterns, meaning if they grew up with McDonald's, they know McDonald's as like a food they like, so they're going to always want to have McDonald's, and that goes into adulthood. Fast food, sugary cereals, snacks, and drinks are often marketed and advertised, which encourages children to eat foods that are associated with childhood obesity. Advertising frequently favors flavor and excitement over nutritional value. So they're often going to use flavors like spicy or like delicious and stuff like that, words like that will engage children and will using advertising basically to get them, which might negate initiatives to teach kids about making smart food choices. In the digital age, influencer marketing, online, and social media advertising, these are other forms of food advertising that can further expose kids to unhealthy food options and impact their eating habits. Especially today, social media, you literally have ads scrolling on Instagram about food, and your phone, I feel like, can hear you and will even know, like if you said you wanted Chick-fil-A the other day, like a Chick-fil-A ad will pop up, and that's like literally enticing you to go get Chick-fil-A, and it will make you want to get Chick-fil-A. But moving on, so food advertising boosted dietary intake in children under experimental conditions as compared to exposure to non-food advertising. According to this study, using machine learning that included 25 experimental studies and 14 studies with unmeasured results, while playing an advert game with food signals for 5 minutes would boost consumption by 53.4 calories on average. Exposure to 4.4 minutes of food advertising would raise a child's food intake by 60 calories on average, basically proving the fact that if a child sees unhealthy food advertising, they're gonna want to consume that, and then that literally increases their calories. So school and early intervention. Students may receive nutrition education from their schools. They will learn the value of balanced meals, how to choose nutritious foods, and how to read nutritional labels. Many kids get all of their daily nutrition from school food programs. Schools may make sure that these meals are nutrition, balanced, and compliant with nutritional recommendations. Schools should provide physical education classes that encourage regular exercise and aids kids in maintaining a healthy weight and general well-being. By restricting the availability of sugary snacks and drinks, encouraging water consumption, and providing fruits and vegetables as snack options, schools may foster a healthy environment. Nutrition, education, and balanced meals can be included in preschools and early education programs to help children develop healthy eating habits early on. By providing parents with advice on correct diet, meal planning, and healthy cooking, you may encourage them to choose healthier foods for their kids. In conclusion, schools and early interventions are critical in combating childhood obesity and nutrition. They offer chances for education, the provision of healthy meals, the promotion of physical activity, and the early detection of health issues, all of which are essential for children's well-being and the avoidance of childhood obesity. So school programs. In comparison to students from schools without nutrition programs, students from schools that participated in a coordinated program that included recommendations for school-based healthy eating programs displayed significantly lower rates of overweight and obesity, had healthier diets, and reported more physical activity, further proving this point. So political factors. Children's dietary environments can be shaped by government policies and restrictions. For instance, legislation can ban the promotion of harmful foods to children, impose nutrition requirements for school meals, and demand plain food labeling, all of which would greatly harm children. Political actions can have an impact on low-income families, especially with children's access to and affordability of nutrition foods through determining the funding and structure of food assistance programs like WIC, which is Women, Infant, and Children, and SNAP, which is Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. Government support for specific agriculture commodities such as maize and soybeans can have an indirect impact on children's nutrition by influencing the production and cost of essential food components like high fructose corn syrup, which is frequently used in sweet drinks. Politics has an impact on access to healthcare, which includes treatment for obesity and prevention measures. Children's health problems related to obesity can be addressed with adequate health coverage. Public health initiatives that promote healthy eating, physical activity, and awareness of pediatric obesity can be funded through political backing. Politicians frequently have a voice in determining how schools should run its wellness, physical education, and nutrition initiatives. Their choices may have an effect on the standard of food served in schools and the amount of exercise that pupils get. Government has the power to sway consumer decisions by taxing sugar-sweetened beverage and offering rewards for the creation and consumption of healthy foods. Funding for research on childhood nutrition and obesity is impacted by political decisions, which might help to better understand the issue and develop successful remedies. In conclusion, political issues are very important in determining how the policy environment for children, obesity, and nutrition is shaped. Access to food, cost, education, and public health campaigns, all of which are essential elements in combating the problem of kid obesity, can all be impacted by government policies, funding, and decisions. So, there was an article, and its objective was to present a theoretical evaluation of BE-informed policy-level dietary programs to avoid childhood obesity. And they looked at two main strategies for preventing childhood obesity through dietary policies. Policies that make healthy choices that default advertising rules, the Hunger Healthy Free Kids Act, and National School Lunch Program, and policies based on initiatives for price manipulation. And so cultural and social factors. Dietary traditions. Within a group, cultural customs and traditions frequently determine the kinds of foods that are consumed. These customs may have an impact on the predominance of specific eating habits, both healthy and bad. Food choices. So, children's food choices can be influenced by their cultural backgrounds, which may limit their desire to try new foods or follow particular diets. Meal schedule, portion sizes, and frequency can all be also influenced by cultural norms, which can have an effect on calorie intake. Peer influence, a child's dietary preferences can be greatly influenced by friends and peers. Obesity can be caused by social pressure to follow poor eating habits. Like if your friends invite you out to eat McDonald's and you don't want to be an outcast by not going with them to McDonald's. So, family dynamics. A child's eating habits are greatly influenced by the family. A child's diet can be influenced by household norms, mealtime practices, and family members' own food preferences. Economic situation. So, access to nourishing foods can be impacted by socioeconomic variables. Low-income families may not have the money to buy healthy options, which forces them to rely on less expensive, calorie-dense substitutes. In conclusion, cultural and societal factors play a significant role in determining childhood obesity and nutrition. They affect how children eat, as well as their food preferences, their availability to nutrient-dense foods, and the social situations in which they make those decisions. To design efficient interventions and support systems for combating childhood nutrition, a comprehensive understanding of these cultural and societal effects is necessary. So, children of immigrants may be particularly susceptible to the dietary customs of their more affluent hosts, where it is more common and acceptable to consume unhealthy foods. And in this article explained, with their accumulation to the more developed host country, immigrant adults' nutritional shift or transition from healthy nutritious foods to unhealthy and fatty foods occurs more quickly, they found. The dietary consumption of children of immigrants was directly influenced by their parents' food preferences, resulting in a synchronized nutritional change for 2 generations. Children of immigrants who were born in the host nation and received little exposure to their parents' native culture were more likely to follow the unhealthy eating habits of their native country. Social factors. Children from the lowest and most impoverished homes had some kind of malnutrition. Adjusted odd ratios were used to calculate by adjusting for socioeconomic and demographic risk factors, including low maternal BMI, parents with lower levels of education, parents who use unclean restrooms, child's age in months, and recent experiences with fever and diarrhea. So, clinical factors. Clinical considerations include routine health tests and examinations for kids. These evaluations can aid in spotting early indications of health conditions linked to obesity, such as high blood pressure, increased cholesterol, and pre-diabetes. Medical diseases. Obesity in children can be influenced by certain medical diseases such as hormone imbalances or genetic dispositions. For the purpose of identifying and treating these underlying causes, clinical examinations are crucial. Structured weight management programs and interventions can be given to obese children in clinical settings such as hospitals and pediatric clinics. And these programs frequently include medical monitoring, physical exercise advice, and dietary counseling. In clinical settings, registered dietitians and nutritionists can also provide nutritional recommendations to children and their families, assisting them in choosing healthier foods and successfully managing their weight. Assessment of psychological and emotional components of pediatric obesity falls within the category of clinical considerations as well. Professionals in mental health may handle obesity-related problems, including stress, emotional eating, and body image difficulties. And by highlighting the significance of long-term lifestyle changes, healthcare professionals can inform children and their families about the health concerns associated with obesity in clinical settings. Ethical considerations and actions. So, respect for children's autonomy. This means, to the extent possible given their age and maturity, involving children in decisions about their dietary preference and lifestyle modifications. So teaching them young, like, you should eat this, you should eat that, and showing them, you could see it as showing them right from wrong, but in a dietary view, I guess. And parental responsibility. Strike a balance between parents' rights to decide what their kids eat and their responsibilities to make sure they're okay, especially when such decisions lead to obesity. Avoid stigmatizing or blaming children or parents for their child's obesity. Promoting healthier behaviors, putting an emphasis on encouraging and non-judgmental methods. In order to address health disparities, equity and access must be ensured for all children, regardless of socioeconomic position or geographic location. Protect the privacy of children and families taking part in interventions for obesity and poor nutrition, especially while gathering and disclosing personal health information. Promoting health education. Ethical activities include educating children, parents, and caregivers thoroughly about nutrition in order to give them the power to make wise decisions. Promoting policies that encourage healthy school settings, such as providing students with access to wholesome meals and opportunity for physical activity, is important. Accessible healthcare, ensuring that all children have access to healthcare services such as routine checkups, dietary advice, and programs to prevent and cure obesity. Support accurate and clear nutritional labeling on foods to enable consumers to make better decisions. Promote legislation banning the promotion of harmful foods and drinks to children, especially through media and advertising. Community programs, so it means creating and supporting neighborhood-based initiatives that foster healthy eating, access to fresh produce, and physical activity once again. And research ethics, using informed consent, safeguard participant rights, and ensure responsibilities data usage when conducting studies on childhood nutrition and obesity. Advocacy for policy change, take part in advocacy campaigns to sway legislation that addresses the social determinants of childhood obesity, such as lack of access to healthcare, food insecurity, and poverty. In addition to making people feel less guilty about how much they eat, low-fat labels can actually reduce the perception of the ideal portion size, the study found. For example, consumers anticipate that low-fat M&Ms will have 20% fewer calories than their regular counterparts, when in fact the opposite is true. And for this one, I found childhood obesity linked to mental health. And in the study, children who are overweight or obese should receive intervention for their psychosocial and emotional health as a major goal rather than as an add-on measure to primary result that aims to reduce weight or stop weight growth. And in order to combat pediatric obesity, public health policies must support positive body image, promote the idea that healthy behaviors can be practiced by people of all sizes and shapes, and acknowledge that bias against certain body types is an issue, a basic issue, an issue that shouldn't be happening. And this kind of paradigm changes in mental health and wellness could be advantage for all children and youth, potentially for future generations. So to summarize, the substantial effects that childhood nutrition and obesity have on people's health, healthcare expenses, academic achievement, and general societal well-being make them critical issues. For a healthier, more just future, it is crucial to address these problems early on through community interventions, regulatory changes, and educational initiatives. And here are my references. Thank you so much for listening.